Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Ann Bell. She helps women create the love life they've been yearning to have. That could mean finding happiness, success, pleasure, and or more meaningful connections. Whether it's your traditional or not, let's have a conversation. I love that. Let's have a conversation. And thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you?
I'm doing well, Will. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. So, Ann, tell us, how did you get here? What was Ann's journey here to help couples, the world? Let's say you're helping the world now. What was Ann's journey?
I think for myself as a young woman who really had no sex education and had to fumble and stumble my way through it.
Which is pretty much all of us.
Yes. I think it's that generation, our generation, right? Where it just wasn't talked about. And I got tired of that. So I started to educate myself. And then I had certain people come into my life that would have the conversations. And I'm actually a licensed massage therapist for 25 years now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a love and life coach. So I would have a lot of conversations with people on the table. I seem to get the people that want to talk. So we would
Which is a good
have,
thing.
yes. So I've had so many conversations about life in general, but also about sex, people's sex lives. And we just got into conversation, how to improve and what do you do? And, just in general. And that's how it kind of evolved. And then the pandemic hit and I had to shutter my business. And then I said to myself, I'm 25 years. I would really like to retire from massage next year. And I got certified in love, life, and relationship coaching. So that's how kind of I got here.
Right.
And I want to start specializing in talking about sex because it seems that we need to do that.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you are here. So, today's a good subject is exploring erotic sexual pleasure. And I want to get into the meaning of that in a bit. I just, it's funny, and I feel that the generation now, the younger generation, um, it seems it's more of a hookup generation.
Yes.
This is what I'm going by, like when I see other podcasts and all that. When I was that young, it wasn't even sure you wanted to, you know, let's be blunt, get laid, but also you wanted to have a relationship. You wanted to find someone, compare, 20, 30 years ago to now. It's just crazy. So, and in your journey, has the change of behavior of sex, has that widened, or has it got closer? Are women just more, more happy to have the new word I've been hearing now for a year, the body count? Um, what's your take on that?
Well, I think as women have become empowered, they're making their own money, they're doing their own thing, they're less dependent on men, that they are experiencing sexual pleasure and sexual freedom. They are taking control of that arena. But I'm as if I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 61. So I come from that generation. Like you said, I've had my stages, my one night stands and all of that. Everybody, you go through those rebellion years. You can't skip phases of development because you're going to get them. You're going to get them one way or the other. But now it's like women my age, they've been married, divorced, or widowed. And they don't want maybe married again. They might just want a companion or a mate. So it's really interesting. But I'm still noticing the conversations is their level of sexualness is still asking, like, can I do this? Can I ask? How do you go about asking for what you want? And I'm fascinated by it.
You
But
know,
yes, I agree
yeah,
with you. The younger generation is hooking up. I'll tell you a very funny story I
yeah,
had.
please.
I was at the gas station at the little local quick mart, and I saw this guy walked in, and we just happened to I was online, he was coming in, and I looked over and I went, "Oh, he's hot," and then I went back to my business. And when I went back to my car, I'm leaving the store, there he is in his pickup. And he goes, "You're gorgeous." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Here, I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna ask me out, right?" And he says, "You wanna hook up?" And I said to him, "What?" He says, "Do you wanna hook up?" I says, "No, my hooking up days are done.
Yeah.
I'm done with that." And he goes, "Okay." And here in my mind, I'm going, he's still gonna ask me out. And he says to me, "Well, how about no hooking up, but how about mutual masturbation?" And I said to him, "How old are you?" He goes, "I'm 38." I'm like, "Oh my God." I said, "No." It's I mean, we went from flattery to creeper in about, less than 5 minutes. But I said to myself, I didn't put my coaching hat on soon enough. Like,
Right.
dude, is this what you're doing? Is this what your generation is doing?
It seems that's what it is. I mean, that's a great story. You know, you
It's
know,
funny.
I mean, at least it was flattering. I mean, he was hitting
Yeah,
on you, you know.
it was flattering, but what made you think if I said no to hooking up that we were gonna negotiate into,
Yeah.
something else? And I'm like, "Oh."
Like I said about today's subject. So talk about, what do you mean by exploring erotic sexual pleasure? So give us a couple of examples because it seems, and even as I'm older, I've gotten older, I still can't read a woman's mind. So,
Well,
I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too old for that.
we can't read people's minds. And this is what I try to tell women is we give too much responsibility for you guys to figure it out for us.
Right.
We actually have to know how our bodies work, what pleasures us, so we can tell you. You're not the experts in our body. I'm not the expert in yours. Only you know. But
Right.
it's having that conversation that is hard for women to have with men because we don't want to hurt your feelings.
I was gonna say
We
that,
we
yeah.
wanna we wanna, empower you. We want you're our man. We want that for you. But there's a way to do it that's not derogatory and it can be helpful because you can't read our minds. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's why, because it's like I think by asking and just getting to know the woman or the man, depending, it's about communication and what we can learn from each other. So talk a little bit more about the erotic portion of the pleasure, which
So
I yeah,
here's the interesting thing. What's erotic to me would be different for you. So
sure.
an erotic experience could be for somebody having sex with the lights on. That could be
Mm,
totally erotic for them. For me, I'm like, really? So and then it can go all the way to the other end into the kinky world. Whatever that world means to you.
right.
So there's the gamut. So the big thing is not to judge. I've had a lot of people try to tell their partner what turns them on, and the partner will go, "Oh, really?" And I tell my people, please do not, if it's in your head, leave that there.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, ask the next question. Do not say, "Ooh." It might be foreign to you. You might not understand it, but your partner is being brave, they're being courageous, and they're trying to take you to a new place, a new level of intimacy. And you need to listen and just take a pause and breathe and say, "Tell me more.
Right.
Tell me more." Get curious, get very curious about your partner's fantasy, kink, whatever they're trying to communicate to you. Get curious and leave the ooh in your head.
Right, which is true, because then
You'll never have the conversation again. The
yeah,
minute you turn that partner off,
right,
and they're going to seek it elsewhere because it's still in their head. They still want to have that. So that's where, they'll go to porn. Porn never rejects. Porn is like the classic yes. You're never going to get turned down. And let's face it, especially men, they get rejected right and left.
oh yeah,
So, you guys take a big hit. So I try to tell women, be open, be curious, and just let the conversation flow. It doesn't mean you have to participate. It does not mean that if you're not still not comfortable, but you can have conversation, and you might have to revisit that conversation a couple of different times.
right,
It might land funny the first time, but you might say to yourself, okay, let me think about this. You might want to do some research into it. You might want to understand it.
yeah,
And let's revisit this. Let's come back to it in a couple of days and let's talk about it. Let it roll around, because sometimes the first time, especially if you come from a background of dysfunction,
yeah,
sexual abuse, if you have a lot of issues, that you were raised in, religious, society, school, parents, if you have a strict model in your head about what sex is, and you're being presented with different information that contradicts that, you just need a moment to let it land, to let it
right.
sink in, to let it go. Okay, this is a little out of my comfort zone, but I'm just going to stay with it here. I'm just going to, like I said, maybe do some research, maybe have another conversation with your partner. What is it that this is, a turn on for you?
Yeah, no, that's deep. I think, like you said, just having the conversation, just getting to know someone, because and I keep on repeating this, but we can't read each other's mind. And I wanted to find out, through you, because you're in this field, and we talk about erotic sexual pleasure. um if one of the partners introduces a toy, whether it's a vibrator or something that might make the woman more get more stimulated, is that something that can be brought into a conversation? I mean, like, if a woman brings it up to a man, now is the man going to get offended? I'm like, wow, you need a toy because I'm not enough. So how does that come into play
It
when
can
you bring that
go,
type of conversation like
yeah,
that?
it can go a couple of different ways, but from my experience, most of my male partners are into it.
Okay.
They love it. It's exciting. They love to watch a woman get off with a toy. If your partner feels threatened, I would say to them, it's not you. It's just how a woman is wired. Sometimes she needs a little different stimulation to get off on. So it's not replacing you at all. It's enhancing what you have.
Mm.
And if you can explain that it's just enhancing our pleasure together, they start to really embrace it, and soon enough their toy closet is going to get bigger and bigger.
You might have a point there. Would erotic pleasure also come from, because I never done this before, and I don't know anyone that has, but who's gonna admit it, role playing.
Oh,
John is the plumber, and stuff that you see on videos, that they do it for kicks and fun, which is pretty, the way they do it is pretty funny, and creative. But can role playing enhance the pleasure?
absolutely. Role playing, fantasies. Look, the biggest sex organ is your brain.
Ah, okay.
Your mind is the mindset is your biggest sex organ. So if you can think it, if it sparks interest, then go for it. I mean, the doctor and the nurse, the
Yeah.
plumber, all of that, that's
Yeah.
pretty hot. And there are some people that get very elaborate with they actually, like you said, get in costume. They have a whole scenario. What about stranger in the bar? You go to the bar
Yeah.
and
I've heard that too. Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah.
picking up your partner. I mean, these things are hot, hot, hot.
Right.
Don't knock it till you tried it, but there are some fantasies that, you might wanna keep in your head. You
Yeah,
know,
I
you
definitely agree. Yeah,
there
go ahead.
or, the big one is, men usually like threesomes, and your relationship has to be rock solid for that to happen. But you can also get around it by maybe having a fantasy about a third party in the bed with you. Not a real live one, but between the
Yeah.
two of you. What does she look like? What are you doing to her now? Or, and just kind of role play between the two of you. So there's
Yeah.
lots of things. Once you get your mind going, there's lots of things you can do, but the biggest thing for me is consent. Consent, consent, consent. If it's not a clear yes, it's a no.
How
You
how
know,
how do you bring that up in the conversation though? I mean, I
I
guess you have to
wouldn't
be deep in the relationship, whether it's would it be after a year, a couple of years
no,
that you could.
no, I think in most relationships, within like the second month or so, you want to
Oh
start
wow,
because
okay.
sex is a big part of a relationship. So
Right.
you want to start asking, what have been some of your favorite sexual experiences? What do you love about your sex life? What would you like to try that you haven't been allowed to? You want to start introducing these questions very early on. If you think this partner is going somewhere, or even if you're just sexual, you want to start asking. And I don't always know if the bedroom is the right place to start, and stop that flow. Um, I think if you've been with your partner a little bit, that can happen. It can lead to one thing to another thing. But I think early on, I would have these conversations outside of the bedroom,
Right.
maybe take a walk. Maybe you're having dinner, in a relaxed atmosphere. It's just the two of you, and just ask one or two of the questions, get it going, get the conversation started. Because you don't, especially our ages, if you've been doing this before and you had a crappy love life, you're like, ugh, I'm not doing this again. So
Right.
you just say to yourself, I'm going to be brave and start the conversation. Because let's face it, if your partner can't talk to you about these topics, is that the partner for you?
Yeah, not well, that's the deepest thing. I mean, can you guys talk about it and get it out in the open? Would because I thought about this as we were talking, I mean, as you were talking, just having you do role play, you bring whether you bring a toy or not, you dress up, whatever it is. Um, Having pleasure in different parts of the apartment, would that also come, not always in the bedroom, because I guess it could get boring. She's cooking and you bend her over the sink and take her there, or or
It all works.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, don't the newlyweds do that in the newlyweds phase? You buy a new house and you're having sex in every room.
Room,
That's
yeah.
the goal. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, it's something that has to be cultivated. The mindset, you want to always be thinking about, foreplay begins after the time you make love. So you're done making
uh,
love, having sex, whatever. You want to start foreplay all over again. And it's not necessarily a physical, it's the mental stimulation.
mhm.
It's the, sending the erotic text, going out to dinner, flirting with your partner, leaving love notes, all of it begins, it's constant. The kissing, the hugging, all of it begins again and again and again.
So I would think that sexting would be kind of cool. Not obviously showing, dick pics or anything like that, but I'm just saying, where I was going with that. Diane. I'm just saying, like words or whatever, to stimulate her or each other during the day. If you both working 9 to 5, would sexting be part of the
Yes,
pleasure of,
yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Erotic talk. I wrote a whole article, a blog article about erotic talk. It's we all love, well, I love to hear. That's one of my things is I like to hear what you're going to do to me. So I think a lot of women kind of they like it. They need more foreplay. They need more stimulation to get their motors running a little bit.
Compared to a man, I know.
Yeah, you guys are there in a heartbeat. Women, we're trying to make the transition from our, day life or whatever we've got in our minds. We need you to help us cultivate that a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, because women's to-do lists are very long. Their day doesn't end when they get home. The
Yeah,
kids, the cooking, the cleaning, but we also have to prioritize our relationships too. And
yeah,
sometimes that needs to, all the other chores need to be let go. But that is constant communication.
yeah. Well, again, you just hit it on the head. It's the constant communication because, um, it, I think sometimes some couples, and I know I was part of this a few years ago, where I mean, my God, there was no type of communication, no type of erotic pleasure in terms of sexting, or even like, she was cold as a fish. That after a while, I'm like, why am I here? I mean,
Yeah.
this is like a roommate. I'm not looking for a female roommate. I'm looking for, I'm going to be honest, I'm looking for sex. I'm looking to get laid. I'm working 9 to 5. She's mostly at home because her business was from home. I was looking for pleasure. I didn't get any pleasure. I got more pleasure watching sports than I did from her. So,
Well,
uh,
men,
yeah,
that's how you guys connect is through sex. You're looking to make, and women have a hard time with that, understanding that, oh, all they want is have sex. And I'm like, that's not true. That's how they're connecting with you is through sex. Just like as a woman, you want your man to communicate with you. You
yeah,
want him to listen to you. That's how you get pleasure. How you want the start of your foreplay is your man is interested in you. Men want to have sex to be, that's how they're interested in you. So it's
yeah,
just we go about it differently.
yeah.
We're wired differently. And I think that's where the disconnect comes from for women and men.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree 100%. So, and we're talking with Ann Bell, exploring erotic sexual pleasure is today's topic. So, Ann, can you give us, if it's possible, like a couple of steps to get our motors running during the day? If it's maybe it's a, I call it, let's say, a midterm relationship. You're together now a year, or maybe like you said, it could be even sooner, a couple of months, that we could trying to introduce role play or toys, whatever. Or there's steps or conversation that we could that you could suggest that we have. I know you went about it earlier, but I guess a step-by-step checklist. Okay, I make sure I got to say this. Okay, I got to memorize this. Okay, I can say this. You know what I mean?
Well,
Listen,
it's
the key for us is to, we want to make sure that our woman is happy with us sexually. I mean,
yes,
it comes down to that for 99.9% of the men.
yes. And I think it's having the conversation. So, you'll be asking, early, what was some of your favorite sexual experiences? And
Mm.
listen to her. And if one of them is role playing, then you can say, hey, remember the conversation we had where it could be the school teacher and the student?
Yeah,
I think you would look hot in a girl uniform with whatever it is that she's wearing, the white blouse,
yeah.
the knee socks. I would love for us to experience that and
Mm.
see what she says. If she's like, yeah, I would. okay, I'm gonna get you the outfit, then you start to really get into it with her. I would love, how about you get the ruler and I'll get you the outfit or whatever that is where oh my God, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait. And we can experience that, on our next date or whatever. I would really love to see that you in that uniform. That would
Right.
really excite me.
I mean, so it's pretty simple and straightforward. Just
It does not there's no wrong or right way. Here's the thing, there's no wrong or right way. You might, fumble through it in the beginning, and that's okay until you understand the rhythm between the 2 of you,
yeah.
but you just ask. You just put it out there and ask. And if it's a no, say, "Oh, well, what is it that you would like to experience?"
Okay.
And it's just kind of that give and take between the 2 of you, exploring more, get curious, tell me more. Well, what is it that you were referring to? And question, question, question.
I love that question, question, question. Well, first of all, and I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really had a good time talking to you, and again, this is a whole new topic that I'm covering.
Good.
Talk more about your ebook. I know you have an ebook on your site, so talk more about that.
I do have an ebook because I believe the foundation to any good relationship is we have to know ourselves.
Right.
And we have to have that good foundation. So I wrote an ebook, Finding You, and it's basically, some steps on how to get in touch with your inner self. And I also am in the process of writing a book on
Yes,
eroticism.
you have at least 10 books in you already.
Thank
Believe me,
you.
people be lining up on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or your website. I say have it on your website because you do have a couple of books in you easily that you could start writing today.
Oh, yes. And I'm also doing a video series on erotic massage for couples.
Oh, okay.
So those things are all in the work, because sometimes we need a little help, visualization. How do we massage our partner? How is it done? So I want to take all my experiences and teach people on how to do that.
No, it sounds good. And talk more about your website and its features. I know you have a few features there if you want to enlighten our audience.
The name of my website, it's aconfidentialconversation.com because that's what I do. I talk. I have a lot of conversations. And I do, coaching, love coaching, life coaching. So I have packages on there. My ebook is on there right now. And soon all the other books.
Well, that's good. And tell us that website one more time.
aconfidentialconversation.com.
Yeah, I'll definitely put it on the show notes. Well, first of all, and I had a great time talking to you. Like I said, this is probably the first subject that I had to talk about, like erotic pleasures and foreplay and role play. I had a great time talking to you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Will. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.